Justin Littlewood. I'll be giving my report on gender equity, Title IX, Idaho State University. I did this report for English 3308. It's for our Project 6, and we also have Project 5A and B that came from the same assignment, I believe. Right now, I'm making the video to present in class, so I don't have to stand up in front of everybody and stutter through something. But don't worry, you'll get plenty of stuttering here. Before I start into my video, I just wanted to detail some of the methods that I've used to try to put together this video, and for also what I had in mind. I looked into Microsoft Movie Maker, or Windows Movie Maker is what it's called. I downloaded that, and I'm going to try to use that to take this video and then take screenshots online from some of the websites I've been to. A lot of the PDFs I can't download, or they're really long, 40 pages, and I try to cut out a couple pages of those. Not so tech savvy, so I'm doing my best and putting a lot of this together. So for right now, I'm using the webcam from my computer to upload this video right now. I tried my personal camera, my GoPro helmet camera, my wife's super expensive camera that apparently doesn't do anything. Come to find out, thanks. Also, I will just continue on with my pitiful story here. Gender equity in Title IX, Idaho State University. Title IX came from the 1972 Education Amendments Act and was signed in, I believe, by President Nixon. In my papers, the details will cover a little bit better in every area. We'll try to do this in the most professional, non-boring way I can possibly come by, such as that video we looked at about PowerPoint presentations in a comical study style. I'm not going to make too much fun of my paper, but to try to keep this lively and not have viewers in the classroom fall asleep, I'll try to keep it somewhat entertaining. I'll break this down into the first half of my video segment and may break my whole speech into multiple video segments just for the ease of showing and editing. I'm going to skip over the executive summary and just start right into my paper. Executive summary, as important as it is, I feel only has a place when reading a paper or an online publication. I think it'd be best and probably the most time effective just to jump right in. So I'll start with the introduction of my paper. I talk about gender equity in Title IX, Idaho State University, and how it affects both male and female students, how it affects our staff, military terminology there, how it affects the staff here at ISU, how it affects the local economy. What we're talking about with Title IX and gender equity is we're talking about sports, both male and female, and how they have to be divided up amongst the university. That if it's a university-sanctioned sport, there has to be a certain number, a ratio between the number of male students competing in different sports, number of female students competing in different sports, and also the ratios of student athletes against just students. So for example, if there are only 10 female students, there needs to be, say, 2 female athletes per those 10 female students. Likewise with the males. But what we saw back in the day before Title IX was passed into legislation in 72, so pre-1972, you would see 8 out of 10 males that attended university played sports, while only 1 or 2 of 10 females would play sports. And thus the money would only go for you go to the males pretty much to go to school. So you have more males getting their school paid for in forms of scholarships and the money that goes to each one of those programs. So there wasn't any money for females to go to college, to play, to enjoy the same rights and privileges as males did at the point in time. So when that changed a lot of things, but as you can imagine, it was controversial back then. It's still controversial now. And there's lots of ideas that even though it's legislation, it can be interpreted multiple different ways. And even today, we still have some problems with it. But I would like to focus on what that means what it means to Idaho State University, as we could spend a lot of time talking about a lot of the stories, a lot of things that have happened in other schools, other universities that are maybe not correct, not right, but different interpretations of Title IX means different things to different universities. Um, I'll conclude this section of Section 2 and continue on by detailing how many students we have here at ISU, what the programs look like at ISU, number of programs, both male and female, as for sanctioned sports, and then also what club sports mean to ISU, seeing as how those sports cannot be sanctioned because we don't have the right ratios. Currently at Idaho State University, we have somewhere right around 14,000 students attending. The most recent data that we have for sports comes from 2008's report that Idaho State University was required to do under NCAA regulation. You have to do a report called an EADA, which stands for Equity in Athletics Data Analysis. That's Equity in Athletics Data Analysis. So they do is they go around and they see how many students, male and female, are playing for each sport, how many are on scholarship, what kind of scholarship, head coach's salary. They keep track of everything that has to do with the athletics. And the most current report of that is 2008, because the NCAA doesn't require them to do that every year. So I think it's like a once every 4 years, or they use data from 4 years, and on the 5th year they actually collect, sum up, and present that data, and is then reviewed by the NCAA to find out if that university is obeying all regulations and is within the Title IX guidelines. And in that report, it gives 8 sports as female sanctioned sports and 5 sports as male sanctioned sports. So for the 8 female athletic sports, there's women's basketball, cross country, golf, soccer, softball, women's tennis, women's track and field, and women's volleyball. Compared to the men's 5 teams, there are men's basketball, cross country, football, men's tennis, and men's track and field. What we have to do is keep those numbers within 10% of male or female standings. So once again, for example, if there are 10 male students, it has to be within 4 to 6 of the standing there for male ratios. Once again, with females, they have to remain within a certain percentage of that also. They have to remain within 5% less or 5% more of players to students. This is for ratios between male athletes to the number of male students, and once again between female athletes and the number of female students. So those are the two ratios, the two percentages that we're comparing that have to be within 5% of each other. Or, like I said, with those sports, you can look at football. Idaho State University has something like 80 football players. So if you start comparing 80 football players on a men's team to, say, 10, 15 players on a women's golf team, you're obviously going to see why the numbers are different there and why it's so hard for Title IX to really justify male sports, female sports, because sometimes, it just so happens that football is a male sport. Football is a big player kind of team thing. I mean, 80 players is a lot. So we see that as being a problem right off the bat, but one that will, I guess, continually be a problem and continue to harm the system, so they claim. With that, on the EADA report, they give numbers of how many female students, how many male students, and that should be in my paper, in my report.